Hello, everyone. If you could hear me, put yes in the chat. If you could hear me, put yes in the chat. There may be a little bit of a slight delay. That's a repeat. Okay, yes, you can hear me. All right, cool. Good morning. Good morning. So today we're going to learn how to go live on LinkedIn, why it's important, and kind of things to watch out for as you start to go live on LinkedIn. And really why live could be your blue ocean strategy, especially in 2025. So if you have ever done a live video, even if it's been like on Facebook or somewhere else, put yes in the chat. If you've never done a live video before, put not yet. So you're going to put yes or not yet. I just want to get a read of the room in terms of skills and all of that. David says, by the way, your hair looks really cool. Thanks, David. Appreciate that. Okay. So some not, we're kind of split 50-50. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to bring up what I have prepared for you today, just so we start to understand why, you know, this is important to prioritize and how it kind of makes the machine of building your personal brand 100 times easier than if you were not to do this. If you love to teach people something, like if you consider yourself a good teacher, you get energized helping people, sharing information, put me in the chat. All right. So some of you are teachers, that's cool. And that will actually help you with this. So if you're like love to share information, love to teach, love to help people, then live video is just going to seem a lot more natural for you. And I think it'll be easier for you as well. So let me bring this up here. And hopefully you can see this. Now, actually, before I bring this up, let me just kind of paint the bigger picture here. As AI tools are leveraged and as AI influencers are created by big brands, and as big brands start to get more serious on organic social media platforms, including LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, the disparity between supply and demand on organic social will change. So basically, more competition, the water will become red, and you will have to actually be really great, even on something like short form video, to stand out and to get attention compared to the skills that you would have need to have to get attention a year ago or 2 years ago. Does this make sense? And this is going, we kind of talked about this on day one, but this is going to be accelerated because we're at the point now in the evolution of social media and social media channels where big brands are starting to realize, oh, there's really something powerful here. They're going to leverage it. And because they will leverage it, they will deploy other influencers to do it on their behalf and AI influencers, and it's just going to be a lot. So, depending on where you get energized and what skill set you currently have, you kind of have to have the self awareness to understand, where do I want to compete? Because we have 24 hours in a day. You probably have a family, probably not just yourself to take care of. Um, who here has kids? Small kids, kids, grown kids? They could still be. I don't know. I think like I've seen some people lately with grown kids, and I'm like, I don't know if that's worse or better than small kids. right? They seem to be just as needy. But anyways, the point is that if you have this amount of time and this much to do in a day, where are you going to get the most return based on the skill sets that you have and based on where your strengths are? And unless you're someone like a performer, a copywriter, like someone that has like tremendous video skills, it may not be with short form video or writing or whatever. So if you're just more someone that likes to teach, likes to answer questions, and is willing to show up live, I will say very confidently that live video is the next blue ocean. If you start getting serious about going live every single week, starting today, your success, the chances that your business succeeds will be 10x, 100x, probably even 1000x over the next few years compared to someone that does not. I think it's comparable to someone building their personal brand 5 to 10 years ago, starting 5 to 10 years ago versus starting today. That's how much ahead of the curve you will be. Because eventually what will happen is the social media platforms, and they've already started to begin to do this, but it will really start to take hold when they don't really give creators a choice. So what will happen is every social media platform got TikTokified because they realized, oh, when we incentivize the creators on the platform to create short form videos, more people stay on the platform, we sell more ads, we keep more people's attention, we make more money, right? And because of that, more people started to create short form video because that's what the platform incentivizes. What's happening again, and who kind of started this again, is TikTok. And what the platforms are starting to realize is that with TikTok Shop and TikTok Live, that there's a tremendous opportunity with live video. And if you think that Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn are going to sit back and watch TikTok and Twitch just take this market share, you know, you'd be sadly mistaken. They're not going to. So you will see the platforms over the next 12 months incentivize live video and incentivize creators that do live video, which will force the creators to do live video, which eventually your competition, a percentage of them will start to do live video. But by then, it could be a year from now, 18 months from now, and you will have already built a community with your live and practice live video skills so that you're that much more confident on live video and know how to do it. Does this make sense? Put yes in the chat if this is making sense. And I know this is going to be the course because it's in the best interest of the platforms. Why is it in the best interest of the platforms? Because there is no other medium other than in person that will hold someone's attention as much as live video, and that will get them to engage as much as live video. And they are starting to understand this and learn this. Okay. So I'm going to pull my screen up and we're going to get into all of this. By the way, all the questions that you have for me just related to live video presentation, how to start, how to do it on LinkedIn, whatever questions remain unanswered by the time I go through all of this material, I will answer at the end of the presentation. Okay. So let's do it. Now, this is also based on data. So I'm not just making this up, okay? Based on the data, even with LinkedIn live video compared to like other mediums, live video will get 7 times more reactions. Live video will get 24 times more comments on average. And the thing to me that people don't really talk about is the timeshare that you get on live video versus on-demand video. Even think about this, right? So like if you saw a video of me scrolling, the video is 30 seconds, you may watch 3 seconds, 5 seconds. Even if you watch the full 30 seconds, I've already gained your attention more than 30 seconds because we're live. And so people really get a chance to understand like what type of person you are, get to know you better, and that timeshare is something that cannot be underestimated. It also provides your prospects with a chance to experience like who you are. You know, the last challenge I did, the lightning struck literally like at the end towards Q&A, and most people would have just turned it off, and I switched to my hotspot and just continued. Those are the little things that really show who someone is like when things don't happen as they were supposed to happen. And you'd be surprised. Like there are some people that I remember, actually one client of mine, she came to me, she's like, I just went to someone's webinar. They're like this huge person, and like something went wrong with the tech and they just blew up. Like the way they reacted, and I don't think they realized it, but they lost a lot of potential business just because those people were able to see how they handled that stress. Does that make sense? So you're really able to see how someone reacts to certain things. You're able to sit back and listen to someone, how they answer questions or how they treat people. If the question is a beginner question, do they kind of look down on them or do they treat them different? People really get a sense of who people are. Does this make sense? Put yes in the chat. So your authenticity, like who you really are, will shine through, which is, I think, a lot of the reason why some people don't do it, right? They don't want that to happen. So this is actually part of the reason why some people do not go live. They're not as authentic as people may think based on their personal branding strategies, or they may not be comfortable with answering questions on the spot. They may not be the experts that they actually put on to be. It also provides you with a chance to interact and to learn. This is a huge thing. So I'll give you the mindset that I had when I started going live, and especially when I started doing webinars. I would get to an end of a webinar, even if there was only like 13 people or 30 people, whatever, 100 people. And even if I did not sell, like I was just hyper obsessed with looking at what questions was I asked, because that helped me learn what people needed more. That helped me make the presentation better, and it helped me make offers better, products better, materials better, and it just helped me get better along the way. It helped me understand my audience at a level that I would have never been able to understand my audience had I not had that live interaction. Does that make sense? Put one in the chat if this is making sense. So it's also a great feedback tool to learn from your audience. The more engagement, the more opt-in. So nothing compares to live video when it comes to opting in for consultations, newsletters, webinars, like emails. I shared recently a visual in a YouTube video that I did, that Neil Patel, he's like a big digital marketer for 20 years. He did a study and he compared like the different types of content that people could create and when they get a return on their investment. The type of content with the fastest return on investment, bar nothing, was live video. So, and both live stream, so live video on social media, and webinar. So live webinar. So it's just long form live video. Social media platforms reward creators. We kind of went through this. And you prove that this is something that a lot of people don't expect. So when a lot of our clients start going live, they'll be like, oh, I just got asked to speak here. Or, oh, this person, in my industry, they actually asked me to come speak to their community. Or, oh, I just got invited on a podcast. A lot of the people who have communities that are creators will see that you can actually speak, that you are an expert, and then you'll also start getting those type of invitations. And then you start getting more exposure as a result of those type of invitations, and everything just starts to compound. The beautiful thing about LinkedIn is that LinkedIn specifically gives you the tools. So built in the platform, there is a live event tool. There's a live event feature that allows you to create and promote your live video events in advance. With this, and it's for free. So what this feature will allow you to do is not only create the live video in advance, but start to invite up to 1,000 of your first degree connections every single week to your live video event. So if you hosted one every single month, you could invite up to 4,000 people to that one live video events. Probably 1,000 people would register, a few hundred people, depending on your brand, would show up live. And if you could not fill your calendar with a few hundred people live, then that's a presentation and a skill set problem. All right. So let's do the math quickly on what that alone could potentially do for your business. So let's say that you just have 1,000 invites and 100 people accept, 40 people show up live, 4 schedule consultation, 50% conversion rate. So let's say you get 4 scheduling a consultation from the 40 that show up. That's 2 new clients. Let's say you charge $2K per client. That's $4,000. And let's say you do that every week. That could be $4K a week. If you charge $5K a client, that could be $10K a week. Are we seeing the power of this? Put power in the chat. Okay. And these are what your show up rates should be, by the way. If you send 1,000, 100 is actually pretty low. It should be closer to 200, but I'm being pretty conservative in all of this. All right. So does it hurt you to think about all the money you've left on the table by not going live weekly on LinkedIn? Does it hurt you? Of course. Yes and yes. Okay. But that could be fixed. And you may say, oh, I don't want to do that every week. I just need 2 clients a month. Well, then do it once a month. And then these numbers change. You get 4,000 invites, right? 1,000 people or whatever, 800 could accept, and all of this compounds. So how you can actually go live on LinkedIn, we'll talk about this, and then we'll talk about best practices and actually a live video process that I recommend. But first, let's talk about how you could actually go live. So the easiest way to go live on LinkedIn, there's no red button inside of the platform where you can click live. I highly recommend using either one of the 2 third-party streaming tools that I'm about to share with you. One of them is called StreamYard.com. Okay, StreamYard.com, and I'll put it in here, StreamYard.com. The other one is called Restream.io. Oops, I spelled the last one wrong. Hold on. So Restream.io. Now the pros and cons of these. StreamYard is more expensive for the paid version, but the reason why I personally use StreamYard is it provides you with a local recording, which means that if the Wi-Fi is blurry, if I'm sharing my screen on this video, I'll actually get a file where it's just me speaking, and then it could be repurposed into short video clips a lot easier. And Restream has 3 tiers of payment. I don't believe they have local recordings, but it's kind of like they're both really good, and they're the easiest things to use. So just check them out. I'm going to show you how you would do it with StreamYard first. Okay. So I'm going to bring this up. StreamYard is free to start. So it's going to be free for you to create your account, but it's not going to be free if you want the recording. So if you go live with StreamYard on a free account, there will not be an easy way for you to be able to download the recording and then repurpose that recording with the GPT tools that we've been going over the last few days. You'll have to like screen record on your computer. I don't recommend it. But here's StreamYard. So this is what kind of your dashboard would look like. And then over here would be destinations. So as you can see, I have 3 destinations because I have a paid account. If you have a free account, you only get 1 destination. And the destination that you want to connect is your LinkedIn profile, not your LinkedIn page. That's a business page, but your LinkedIn profile. All you would do is like click, and then you just put your password and it connects. Once you see that your LinkedIn profile is connected on your destinations page, all you will do is go home, click home, and then go to live stream. So I'm going to click live stream. And then what I will do is I will click my face here. So this is telling the system that I want to live stream to LinkedIn. And this is where I would put in the title, the description, and also the date. So I'm going to put in the title, like I'm going to say like live streaming tips for entrepreneurs. I'm making this up just for this purpose. And then I'm going to schedule for later, let's say like Monday. And let's say at, let's do 9 a.m. So I'm going to do this Monday, the 27th at 9 a.m. Okay. And then you will need a thumbnail. So you need an image, and I'll just use like this one. And I'm going to click apply. By the way, in the GPT bundle, we have the template to create these thumbnail images pretty quickly and easily with Canva. So now we have the title and we have well, we don't need the description, but we have the time. And then we're going to click create. Once I create this, it's going to pop up on my LinkedIn page. And this is where I could start to send the 1,000 invites to the event. So I'm going to go to LinkedIn. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my profile. I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to click events. Once I click events, I'll see that it's right here. You see Monday, January 27th at 9 a.m. I'm going to click this. And then what I do is I could click share. So to use the invite feature, I have to click share, and then I have to click invite. Once I click invite, I have two options. I could invite people manually. So I could invite like Cheyenne, Alex, okay. And I could click literally up to 1,000 people manually, but that's a lot, of work. The way that I know that it worked is over here. It'll say, you see, 4 people invited to events, and I click X. The easier way to do it is click share, invite, and then to filter either a location, a company, or an industry. So let's say that I was in the healthcare industry. Let's say I could only, I want to reach healthcare professionals, whatever. Now that I have filtered something, there's a top left checkbox right here that I could click, and you see that 50 are automatically selected. But as I could unclick it, and then I could continue to scroll down. It's kind of annoying and tedious, but it is what it is. You scroll down, and then now I click it, and there's 100. And I could just continue to scroll until I get very close to the 1,000. And then I could click invite. Now, another 100 people have been, invited to this event. And then as people accept the invite, there will be a list. So it'll say Shanae and 27 other people. So I'll show you. So it'll show, let me see this one. So as you can see here, me and 11 other people. So you click it, and then you'll start to see the list of people. So you could start to see their first degree connection, second degree connection, see who they are. If they're a first degree connection, you can message them and say, hey, it was, do you want me to cover anything specific for the event? Or I look forward to seeing you at the event. Or I know Jeffrey has joined the challenge. I could say, hey, thanks for joining the challenge. Did you have another specific question? If they're a second degree connection and I want to connect with them, I could then click their profile and click connect. So, and this list will actually save. And obviously, what all these people are telling me is that they want to grow their personal brand in 2025 on LinkedIn. So that's why the title also matters. Does this make sense? Does everyone understand? Put one in the chat if you understand how to create the event. So when you're thinking of the title does matter. You don't want a super general title, because like you have to think of it like, if when people sign up for this, they're telling me two things. They're telling me, number one, they're pretty active on LinkedIn, because if not, they wouldn't have accepted the event invite. Number two, that they're interested in learning live streaming. And number three, that they consider themselves to be entrepreneurs. So even after the event, I still have a list of those people that are basically telling me they're interested in this thing, and that I could potentially give them a free asset around live streaming, or direct them to a YouTube video about live streaming in advance or whatever. And this is also how you could easily grow your email list with LinkedIn, because during this live, if I say, hey, I created a free training, or I have a checklist, or I have a case study, if you want it, message me, and they message me, then I just reply and I say, yeah, what's the best email to send it to? And I could start building a list that way. 9 out of 10 times they'll be like, oh, send it here. Put yes in the chat if you're understanding. All right. Now, what are the best practices for live? I'm going to go through this right now. So the best practice for live is, I would start with every other week. Once every other week feels comfortable, maybe for 1 or 2 months, you're like, oh, I could do more of this. Then I would go to every week. And then I would keep a weekly cadence. Ideally, you want to test in the beginning different days and times, but ideally, you want your network to know that it's kind of like a show. Wednesday at 12, you're going to be live, or Thursday at 8 o'clock in the morning, you're going to be live. And that's where the consistency comes in. The live videos on LinkedIn do not have to be like an hour or 90 minutes. They ideally should be, I mean, based on our data, around 20, 25 minutes, but you can't be wasting people's time. And one of the things that, like a few of the things that people do to waste people's time, is that they don't practice the tech in advance. So they spend the first 5 minutes saying, oh, there's been a tech issue, whatever. And then now you've lost them. Because one thing about the LinkedIn audience, remember, 4 to 5 people are decision makers. If they made the time to be there, like, you better bring it, or else they may not give you another opportunity, because time is limited for them. The other thing is that you never want to say, yeah, okay, well, I'm going to wait for more people to come on. We'll start in another 5 minutes. I don't understand people that do that. You're basically punishing the people that prioritize your live events. I don't care if there's one person on the live. You don't say, oh, yeah, let's just wait for more people. That one person put it on their calendar, showed up in advance, was on time, and you owe it to them to start on time. Don't wait for the late people that didn't prioritize it. So that's the other thing. You want to start on time. You want to show up prepared with the tech and show up prepared with the material. If you just show up with generic tips they have heard a million times before, and if you show up looking like you don't want to be there, like, I can't tell you how many people I've seen, this is how they start their LinkedIn Live. Today, we're going to cover 3 tips to win in life. Like, if you show up with that attitude, why am I there? So the energy that you show up with also matters. And these are the things that people are going to be questioning. Like, is this person prepared? Are they an expert? Do they actually know what they're talking about? Did they put effort into preparing this presentation? Or, these are the questions. Do they even want to do it? and people will sense it. So you really want to be cognizant of that. All right. So don't do those things. I'm going to bring up some more stuff and then I'll start answering the questions. So, the live video content strategy, it should be planned out, and they're different than videos. Like, most people look at TikTok or Instagram or whatever and they see live as a community building tool. And on those platforms they see it as, this is off the cuff, I'm just going live, we're just having fun. On LinkedIn, you should see it more like a TED Talk. If you're showing up in your pajamas eating your chicken wings, you will be judged on LinkedIn. That's just unless you are spilling the secrets of your industry and like you're just, it's phenomenal information, because that's how their expectation of a live video event is more like a structured TED Talk than something where we're just hanging out. Does that make sense? Put one in the chat if that makes sense. You can get ideas from questions. We kind of went through that. And so live video process preparation is key. The one thing that I would say you may want to invest in is like a microphone. And there are some microphones that I recommend, but really, like, the reason why most people will drop off of a live is because the sound is terrible and it's hurting their ears. So you just want to make sure that your microphone quality is okay. You want a clean backdrop. I do not recommend fake backgrounds. There's actually been multiple studies. I spoke with somebody who handles the PR of like kings, queens, like literal kings and queens in the UK and like, you know, in Europe. And like they've just done multiple studies. Fake backgrounds are not it. They will reduce trust whether you realize it or not. So you want a real background that is clean. You don't want your dirty laundry in the background. Just put a 1 in the chat if this is understood. Okay. And then you need to decide in advance, like, what is your cadence going to be to start? Is it going to be every other week on a Tuesday, every other week on a Monday, every week on a Wednesday? And you want to stick to that. So 8-step process. Number 1, prepare the stage. So give yourself enough time to get ready and take it seriously. Just as you would something like a TED Talk or like a speech where you're going to the venue in person, you're going to be on the stage, you're going to clear your calendar for that morning, you're going to prepare your speech. That's the type of effort that you should put into your live, because that will force you to kind of really think about giving the audience the best that you have, right? And through that, you really prove your expertise. What you don't want is your live to be squished between like a million other things and you're just starting and then you panic and now the tech isn't working and it's just a disaster, because then you don't prove that you're an expert. It may come across that you don't know what you're doing. Okay. So you also want to show up looking and feeling your best. I give the example that, like, if my live is on a Monday morning at 9, I may have to go to sleep early on a Sunday. I may have to not, stay late or go out with friends or whatever, because I'm prioritizing this for the business. This is an activity that will move the business forward. If I'm the business owner, it is my responsibility to prioritize this. And this is if you have a pro mindset and if your business isn't just a hobby. And the one thing I'll tell you that changed the game for me in business was going from, oh, I'll do this when I feel like it, to having a pro mindset that this is an activity that is my responsibility to drive the business forward. And I'm going to do it whether I feel like it or not. And that's just the name of the game. That self-discipline is everything. You transform as a person. Okay. So make sure that you're prepared, make sure that you're on time, make sure that you've tested the tech. Step 2, when you start your live, make sure that you look like you want to be there. Welcome to the live. Like you want to say, hey, good morning. I appreciate you so much for being here today. You literally could be anywhere in the world and you chose to be here. And that means a lot to me. The other thing is you want to use you. You don't want to use like, hey, everyone, because even though there's a lot of people on the live, you're still speaking to people individually. So show appreciation. So like make sure you show up with positive energy, make sure that you show appreciation in the beginning before you start. And then what you could do is you could choose a word in the beginning that your live viewers can type in. So you could say, you know, if you can hear me right now, put grow in the chat. And this is really important on LinkedIn because if they could click attend to your event, but if they don't actually engage, you don't know if they actually showed up to the live unless they also DM you or something. So getting them to engage and finding strategic ways to get them to engage, especially on LinkedIn, is very important. So you could choose a word. I would choose a word that aligns with your brand, right? So like if you're a fitness coach, it may be like fit or like, you know, workout. You don't want to choose a very long, complicated word. You want to choose something simple. The other thing is you want to intro yourself. So one of the assumptions that we sometimes make is that, oh, they've seen us before. They know who I am. And this is something that actually YouTube has drilled into me, like creating videos for YouTube more than anything, is that you have to assume that they have not heard you. And you need to introduce yourself somehow. So like you've seen a lot of my YouTube videos, maybe not. And in the beginning, I'll say, if you don't know who I am, my name is Shanae Murray. I have almost 1 million followers on LinkedIn, this many LinkedIn newsletter subscribers, and let's start. So what am I doing? I'm introducing kind of who I am and what I'm about around what I'll learn. So let's say I'm doing a video about lives. I'm not going to necessarily say that. I'll say, my name is Shanae Murray. I've done 289 plus LinkedIn live events in the last 2 years, and this is what I've learned. But I'll change it related to what it is, right? And then I could say, and if you want to learn how to do that too, go to yougrow.club or message me on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn. But you don't want to be pitching yourself. Like, I don't know if any of you were on Clubhouse. Like Clubhouse pitches were like 25 minutes. People don't like that. It's 10 seconds or less in and out, and then get back to the content. Step 6, start to cover the notes that you've prepared, and you can prepare your notes. Some people are like, oh, but where do I look? And I mean, I've literally done live videos where I've prepared like probably 7 pages of notes on my yellow notepad. And I'll just say in the beginning, I've prepared these notes. I have to reference them. You'll see me do that throughout the live. Let's start with point number 1. And then I'll read it and then I'll address the audience. So you don't have to pretend to not have notes. It's actually a good thing. People actually like it. It shows that you put effort into it. Step 7, every so often as you're covering the material, take a moment to make sure that you remind your viewers of your call to action. So let's say the first step was creating your marketing strategy. I could say, okay, the second step is to optimize your LinkedIn profile based on what we just covered. But before we go there, I want to let you know that if you're resonating with this, go to yougrow.club. I'm having a masterclass at XYZ date, and we're going to cover a lot more of this in depth. Again, go to yougrow.club, and then I'll be like, okay, point number 2, optimizing your profile, and then I'll go through that point. But between every single point, you want to remind people of where to go if they want to learn more. The reason is it's because we can't make the assumption that number 1, they're going to stay to the end. So most people will go through all the material and then they'll be like, last 3 seconds of the live, if you want to work with me, go to okay, bye. We didn't hear the website. We didn't hear why we should go there. We didn't hear what the offer was. You just left. And 99.9% of the people that watched the beginning of the live did not even get a chance to listen to this, right? So you want to sprinkle it throughout the live, maybe 3 or 4 times, so that people, if they're just jumping in late or they left early, they still get a chance to listen. Is this helpful? Put 1 in the chat if this is helping you. Okay. And then number 8, before signing off, thank your viewers and invite feedback. Or you could answer questions. Like right now, I'm going to go into Q&A and start answering your questions. And then after Q&A, I'll just say, hey, you can learn more here. Or if you want to work with me, go here. And that's it. So, but really following this process is important. And of course, like the biggest differentiator is the material that you're presenting. Will it actually help them? Is it deeper than what they would have just Googled and found? Do you have examples? Do you have case studies? Even if it's just what you have experienced or you have helped one other person experience. But whatever you do, you don't want to gatekeep during this, because if you do, it'll just sound generic and you won't prove that you're an expert in the process. All right. And before we go to Q&A, I'll just go over the bundle one more time because some of you may have not seen it. And we used it more yesterday and on day 2 than today. So there's an offer pinned to the top of the chat. It's $497, which is an insane offer when you realize what you're getting. But what it is basically a dashboard that will help you create content for LinkedIn. And the hub of this content is the live events. So if I take a 20-minute live event and I put it into Descript, there are pages and pages of what I've said. So you get a transcript. Or if you post it on YouTube, you also get a transcript. These GPT tools are designed to take your words and then turn them into content on LinkedIn. So the first one is a strategic one. You could take a picture of your profile, throw it in here, just say who you want to serve. It'll ask you some questions and it'll help you revamp your profile. The about section, the header, all of that. Then LinkedIn newsletter GPTs. You throw your transcript in there. This will help you launch your LinkedIn newsletter. This will help you turn your words into LinkedIn newsletter articles that are educational. This one allows you to create LinkedIn newsletters that will promote your live events so that you have more people that actually show up to the live events. This one will do like an SEO check so that you could change the header, the subheaders, so that you could potentially rank on Google easier. And then this one helps you create client results that you've helped clients achieve. It'll ask you a series of questions, and then it'll create case studies for you on the spot. So these are the newsletter GPTs, the content GPTs. It creates polls. So you just put a transcript into these GPTs. It'll create polls that you could post, quotes. It'll select the best quotes from the transcript that you could schedule on LinkedIn, text posts. It'll create short video scripts. And then this one will even help you create an outline for your live event. It'll say, what do you want to talk about? And we could go from there. The template for the LinkedIn newsletter and the LinkedIn live events, we have a template created in Canva. You'll also get the tech stack and you'll get the calendar, which has suggestions on like dates between January 16th and February 15th of what you should post each day. And I'll delete these because we filled these out yesterday. But this is just an example of like, we filled this out in maybe 12 minutes yesterday with the GPT tools. If you don't use Notion, you could also get the Google version, the Google Calendar version that's in the product, and that's available to you when you purchase. For the $497, you not only get this entire dashboard that you could duplicate instantly, you'll also be able to join 4 of our weekly group coaching calls. We just actually finished one. They are Fridays at 11 a.m. So you'll be able to join us next Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time and ask more of your pertinent questions. Some of the questions today revolved around webinars and actually engaging people during their LinkedIn live events and stuff like that. And it's a meeting setting. So I'm able to see you, you're able to see me. The group asks phenomenal questions across the board and people learn from each other's questions. Not only that, but you're also able to join our monthly AI mastermind for January. That's the last Friday, January 31st. And we're going to learn how to build an AI agent, even as non-coders, even as beginners. And we're going to have a conversation about how important that is looking into the future, because your offerings for your clients may be forced to change as things become more agentic. Their needs may change. And so then you may have to serve them a little bit differently. So That offer is available pinned to the top, 497 until the end of this live. And I look forward to meeting each and every single one of you who takes us up on our offer. Okay, cool. So let me start answering the questions. Shanae, as someone who has mastered, what's one unconventional or surprising technique you've used to boost viewer engagement during a live session? What's unconventional? I think what's unconventional, something that I do towards the end that most people don't do, is like I'm genuinely curious of how to make it better, or I would be genuinely curious right now if you shared what's the one thing so far during this training that you like the most. If you just shared that in the chat, I don't think like most people care that much. I care because I want to better serve. So if like 3 things start to stand out more than everything else, then I'll change the presentation the next time to just focus more on those things. So I think that's a little bit unconventional. Yes, Charlene. As long as you join. Did you join already? I think you did. Okay. I love this comment. It's super annoying when people's hands fade out with fake backgrounds. Yeah. Or like their shoulders like disappear. I agree. How do you feel about doing what about including options for captions for LinkedIn Live? I think LinkedIn does captions after the fact. But yeah, I think they're great if you know how to do it. How do you feel about doing the same webinar live topic every week versus a different topic every week? So when I talk about like a LinkedIn Live, it's different to me than a webinar. A webinar is more gated in Zoom. So are you talking about having the same webinar topic every week or LinkedIn Live topic every week? Because to me, they're just different in my brain. Do you recommend limiting our lives to once a week? Should we go live more than once a week if we target different niches? I would only recommend going live more than once a week once you have cracked the code, so to speak. So the clients that I have that go live more than once a week, they already know, okay, when like the live machine is already working for them. They're getting a consistent inbound clientele. Like every time I talk to them, they're like, oh, I signed a new client. And it's usually generated from their lives and their newsletters. And then they could just up the ante. But that doesn't happen overnight. You have to master the skill first. And so like until we kind of figure out what works for someone's brand, I don't recommend reaching a point of overwhelm, because going twice a week for a lot of people would be overwhelming. Yeah, so you want to record it like this, like horizontal. Some people will watch it on mobile. Most people, even if they watch it on mobile, ironically on LinkedIn, they probably still prefer to see it horizontally while you're live. Is there a way to clearly know when I'm live? I've seen way too many people who fumble around and not aware they're live. So if you're going to use StreamYard, if you just log onto your LinkedIn, like in a different tab, like if you go to the front of your profile, it should just show that you're live. Or you could use your phone and then just go to your profile on your phone and then just confirm that you're live. Thank you, Linda. Jump into this incredible offer. You won't believe how much you learn. Yeah. And Linda got the bundle. I appreciate that, Linda. During the live, does the amount of participation and comments somehow boost your presence overall on LinkedIn? I think, yeah, it could. And obviously, like if someone sees a replay of someone's live and they have like 400 comments, it's that impression. But it really depends on someone's audience. And comments are not on LinkedIn are not always the best indicator of conversion or engagement. Because, like, for example, if your audience are C-level executives and you help them go to a different company or get a better job or leave to become a consultant, your engagement is probably not going to be high. Because if they engage with you, they're basically revealing what their hidden move is, depending on the topic of your live. So it really depends on the audience. During the live, does the amount of participation? Okay, answered that. Please explain the difference between live and webinar. I mean, in my brain, like the biggest difference is like they are registering, like the easiest way to see it is they're giving you their email. So they're registering like on a Zoom page or a landing page, and it's more private and it's much longer. So webinar could be anywhere between an hour to 2.5 hours. You go a lot more in depth with the steps, answer a lot more questions. There's just like a lot bigger time commitment. While the live is maybe 20, 25 minutes, you may not even be using slides, and it's open on social media, so you did not get their emails. This is a good question. Should we just use slides or just talk? How about having guests? So when I'm working with the clients, we will test, right? You want to test 50-50 because sometimes people will lean towards using slides for the wrong reasons. Because a slide is like having a podium in front of you when you speak. They kind of use it as a protection mechanism. And so if I have someone that's like, yeah, I want to use slides, usually I'm like, no, we're not going to use slides, right? Because they're using it kind of like as a shield. If someone comes to me and they've been going live, they've been doing presentations, they have the confidence, that's not necessarily an issue, and they just have evidence that the slides work better, then go for it. Use slides from the beginning. Usually we'll do like 2 without slides, 2 with slides, and then we'll just let the data reveal itself. The business model of what you're selling matters, I believe. So far, I sold big projects. I need to design a product for live purposes. If you sell like big B2B, the live should just go to a call. I don't know if that's what you're selling, but the higher the ticket, the higher the sales cycle deal of the deal, the bigger the deal, it should just be live to a call. Is it better to go live directly on LinkedIn? So you have to use a third-party tool to go live on LinkedIn. It has to be like whether you're going to be using StreamYard, Restream. Some people use Zoom. It's a little bit more technical. I don't recommend it, but you can't just go inside of LinkedIn and click the live button. It doesn't exist. And I'm curious if my messaging on LinkedIn should be targeted to how it affects my target market and their career setting more specifically than life in general. I mean, it depends what you help them with. I would need a lot more detail. What can I do to have more show ups? I usually have 150 to attendees out of 1,000, but about 2 to 3 show up. That's not right. So your sign up rate is around correct. Like if you invite 1,000, 150 should click attend. But out of the 150, 2 to 3 show up. I mean, there's somebody in the weekly group coaching that they just did their first live. I think they have like 500 connections. So they sent like 400 or 500 invites. I think they had like 100 people register or something, or like 80 people, and then 40 showed up. And that was like their first live. So your show up rate is way off. It could be the topic. It could be like one thing I would test is I would leverage, I don't know if you have a LinkedIn newsletter, but I would try to use the LinkedIn newsletter to remind them like a few days before and a few hours before. and see if that affects the show up rate. If that does not affect the show up rate, then it's probably the topic. Shanae, you make this look so easy. It's only because I've done it 1,000 times. I'm guessing that's because you have been doing this for some time. Yeah, I make this look easy because I've been going live for almost 3 years. And not just that, I make this look easy because the first, 18 months that I was doing this, specifically like the first 12 months, I wanted to master the skill. So I intentionally went live on LinkedIn almost every day. And then on top of that, I did 2 webinars a week. So I was going live almost every day and doing 2-hour webinars every Thursday and Saturday. And so I got my reps in. And still to this day, like I say it openly, to this day, I still get nervous. I don't just like jump on. Like sometimes I'm like I have to do like breathing exercises before I go live. And for me, that's never gone away. But that doesn't stop me from hitting the button. Thoughts on live video versus live audio. So LinkedIn actually got rid of their live audio events, and I would have told you to do video anyway. Barbara, I'm sure it can improve show up rate. Would it make sense to do a masterclass or group coaching through LinkedIn Live or interviews? I guess my first question to you is like, how do you get clients now, or what has worked already? Because if you have an established business, you may say, oh, every time I would go live on Facebook and do group coaching, it would work. And then I would lean towards that. But if there's like no evidence of anything, then I would say do at least 4 consecutive solo lives where you're just really giving away your best stuff and then go from there. Question: if someone sold to you that LinkedIn doesn't work for building a business in Finland, what would you say to them? What did you do to try to make it work? Most people that say LinkedIn doesn't work, or like if someone says that, like my genuine question would be like, what did you try to make it work? And they may say, well, I posted like 3 times for a week for like 3 weeks. And then I would say, yeah, that's why it didn't work. Yeah. It probably like it depends what the input was. LinkedIn is a tool, just like anything. You have to learn how to use it. And whatever input you think you have to do to get results in the beginning, you probably have to 10x that. So this is important here. Let's just say you get 100 people that signed up, 5 to 10 showed up. So one of the questions that I would have for someone with like a low show up rate is also, what are you doing between the live events? Because for someone that's posting every day, let's say that that person is posting polls, short videos, stuff on the feed every day, posting newsletters. You have to understand that every time, like let's say if Tony Robbins is having a webinar, or Alex Hormozi is having a webinar, you may have noticed that like when he was doing his webinar, he 10x'd social output. And he's smart. There's a reason why. It's because every time that I see a post, every time I scroll on the feed and see him, I'm like reminding myself, oh, I have to go to that webinar. So if you just go ghost between live events, your show up rate at best is going to be probably 10%. Versus someone that continues to show up between the events, their show up rate could be 30%. And 30% is a good show up rate for a LinkedIn live. Now, if you have like people in the emails, then it should be even higher. If you have a small audience, you don't have a small audience, And I saw your message, Aleb. I'm going to message you after this. If you have a small audience, 2,500 people is big on LinkedIn. The average CEO has 1,000 people. People might get bored of seeing me every week. The wrong people. The right people will be like, thank you so much for sharing this information and changing my life. And those are the people that matter. When I do group coaching or masterclass, I tend to enroll one-on-one. Is that what you want? I tried and failed. So like, I would just say like, how many posts did you do? Like you like the main thing with starting LinkedIn is like the first thing is you cannot consider that you failed before doing 30 videos consecutively, one video a day for 30 days. I challenge anybody, and I give this challenge to hundreds of people every year. Oh, LinkedIn doesn't work. Okay. Post one video a day for 30 days. Come back to me in 30 days and tell me that not one good thing happened, that you didn't make one good connection that led to more referrals, that led to a speaking gig, that led to this. And that's without any direction. And then from the first 30, that data, then you could focus on the ones that got the most views. There will be an outlier. And it's just a lot of the times there's not enough input within a short amount of time to reveal what you should be doing. And so really the first step is kind of bracing yourself for the time, energy, mindset required to do that 30. And really to understand that there's probably going to be a week where you get one like, and guess what? On the 8th day, you post anyway. On the 9th day, you post anyway. On the 10th day, you post anyway. On the 11th day, you post anyway. Because the one on the 11th day could be the one that gets you 100 likes. But most people, it's hard. It's more of a mental game than anything. And I experienced this recently. So some people, one of the reasons why I started YouTube was because some people would look at LinkedIn and be like, yeah, but you have like 1 million followers. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a beginner again because I love it. See, that's the arena that I love. The challenge of like, oh, this video, and YouTube was like, had me, it's very humbling. Like I could post any video on LinkedIn, it gets like 1,000 views, this, whatever. And on YouTube, I would put in hours into a video and it'd be like 32 views. And I'd be like, what is going on? I suck. I need to get better, right? And then I just kept doing it. After 6 months, I started to see the traction. And I'm like, okay, now, like even now, we're getting to 10,000 subs. I'm going to be pedal to the metal because all I have to see is that tipping point. But it takes a lot of energy to get to that tipping point. And it takes a lot of mental fortitude. But it was exhilarating. Like it has been exhilarating to be a beginner again on a new platform because you're forced to get better. I hope that helps. Failed. It's important to post posts that are of interest. Yeah. In the beginning, you said 6 live, 12 newsletters, 90 feed pages. So the feed posts are polls, forwarded news. Should long articles go to newsletters once you launch a newsletter? Yeah, like the feed posts, to just clarify, are like polls, quotes, images, short video clips, text posts. They could be kind of long, but there is a character limit. But like the long ones, you want to keep to the newsletter. So can people go back and watch your replay on LinkedIn at any time after the event is over? They can, but if you don't want the replay to be there, you could LinkedIn allows you to edit the video, so you could trim the video and then you could trim it to like a minute or 3 seconds, or if you want to repurpose that for something else, or you only wanted it to be available for the live viewers. So the replay will be up, but you could trim what they see from the replay. I hope that makes sense. No. So do you recommend we go live on LinkedIn and YouTube simultaneously? I mean, you can in the beginning, but no. And I'll talk about this at a later date. What other questions are there as we reach the end? And share in the comments what your favorite part of the 4-day masterclass has been. Like, what have been your favorite points? What's been the favorite thing that you learned? Also, remember that maybe only for the next few minutes, the GPT bundle is available. Not only do you get all the tools that we have trained for you, you also get to join us for 4 weekly group coaching sessions and to really be able to get more of my guidance in those sessions. They're meeting styles, so we see you, you see us, and we all really learn together. And it's a great group of people that are also building their personal brands. And then you also get to join the monthly AI Mastermind, which is January 31st of this month, where we will learn how to create an AI agent, what they are, why it's important, how they may change your market, your customers' market, and potential offerings that you may want to think about in advance. Awesome. So Dream, if you got the GPT bundle, you get access to the group coaching. You get access to 4 weeks. So you should have, like, in the initial email, it should have been like, oh, here's your GPT bundle, and then here's the calendar for your 4 sessions of group coaching. What was the single, and I'll say this very confidently, the single most important thing for my LinkedIn strategy was video, bar nothing. Video and being myself. And the single most important thing for business was live video, bar nothing. All right. All right, everyone. God bless you. For those of you who purchased the GPT bundle, I love you even more. And I will see you next Friday at the weekly group coaching. Thank you, everyone, for joining the 4-day masterclass. And I will see you then. Ciao.